if you don't have that gut checked, then you're going to just keep going on and on and on and on and on and on and do the same thing. And like Einstein said, you do the same thing over and over. You're going to get the same results.
Welcome to the Inspired Living with Autoimmunity podcast, the podcast for high achievers who want to stay sharp, focused, and full of energy despite their diagnosis. With your host, National Board Certified Functional Medicine Health Coach, Julie Michelson, where Julie helps you take your power back from autoimmunity. And now here's your host, Julie Michelson.
Welcome back to the Inspired Living with Autoimmunity podcast. I'm your host, Julie Houghton, and today we're joined by Dr. Cory Rice, the Chief Clinical Advisor and Medical Advisory Board Member at BioT, and the owner of Modern Medicine Clinic, where he provides patients with personalized, progressive, comprehensive medical care. Dr. Rice's background is internal medicine, but he now practices functional medicine and lifestyle medicine. His clinical expertise lies in most areas of chronic disease and ultimately the treatment and reversal of some of the more commonly encountered conditions in clinical practice today. In this episode, we are debunking the most common myths surrounding autoimmunity. Cory, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Julie. Thanks for having me.
I am so excited for you to share your expertise and just have been looking forward to debunking autoimmune myths together. But first, I would love for the listeners that aren't familiar with you yet, I would love to know, I know you started out like forensic science, right? So how do you get from forensic science to practicing what I consider just good medicine, but what wellness medicine, true prevention?
Yeah. So thanks for the opportunity to give you that background. Interestingly, I wouldn't have thought back when I was in forensic science that I certainly would have ended up treating live humans. So back in, the late 90s, 2000, I was the first graduate from Baylor University with a degree in forensic science. So I went into healthcare and honestly, same idea. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So I went into internal medicine, did that for a little bit, did inpatient critical care. And so at the time, I took a leap of faith years ago, and I just started to learn different modalities of healthcare that I was not exposed to in formal graduate medical education. And so that led me to a world of functional medicine. And I'm sure you and your audience are quite familiar with that. For those that aren't, functional medicine really, it's just taking a phenotype, a body that potentially is dysfunctional or not operating appropriately and literally putting the pieces back together in a root cause way, oftentimes without pharmacologic need, just so they can have their life back. And so long story, but that's really where I started. And that's kind of where I am now and what I do.
Amazing. As you were talking, I was thinking about a text I got from somebody I worked with a year ago who's a nurse. And it was photos from some things, mountain climbing, things she did this summer that she, couldn't have done had she not gotten her life back. And it's like, yes, this is why we do it.
Yeah.
So I want to start with, because you mentioned root causes and functional medicine, and I'm talking about puzzle pieces, let's talk about that myth of finding your singular root cause.
Sure. And I appreciate that. And maybe offline sometime, I'd love to hear your personal story because everybody's got one. And I think I become a better physician when I listen to people's personal stories because nobody has the same story. Nobody has the same data. Nobody has the same set of patterns that got them to where they're in front of me now.
Yeah.
But I think there's a reason we're talking. But regardless to this, and on the root cause side, basically speaking, if someone comes in and they've got a diagnosis from a doctor or a set of doctors that they don't understand, they don't like, they aren't accepting for whatever reason, denial, or they just truly don't believe it. I'm the kind of guy that's like, I am so, I would say confident in how we treat patients that you can take everything we do and go to 10 different docs. I stand by the opinion we have because you have to be confident in what you do. And with this type of medicine, People just need hope. I mean, this may be a lot of your listeners listening too.
Sure.
You go down this path, and I will be the first to tell you, I do not think doctors by any means, the conventional medical machine, these are not bad people at
No.
all. These are great people.
I say it all the time. I'm married to a physician.
There you
Nobody
go.
goes into medicine to do anything but help people.
100%. And the machine that we were fed into is one that was really not of our constructing. It's just where we find ourselves. And we won't get off on those tangents, but that's an entirely different.
It's another episode of how do we fix the system. Yeah.
It is absolutely another episode. So, the idea of root cause is if you come in and you tell me, let's just use example, if you have Hashimoto's or whatever.
Who doesn't?
No, that's a great, that's another great point. Because in my world, basically everybody does.
Yeah.
But if you have that, it's not that you just woke up one day and this antibody is attacking a gland and that's just how it is. There's a reason that happened. And the milieu of reasons can be anything from, neurotransmitter related, hormone related. It can be complete living in a world that is just unfortunately toxic, polluted. The soil's been adulterated. Everything is just different from our grandparents and sometimes parents, and what they played in and what they ate from, that you're just set up with potentially a perfect storm to acquire something and have a body that goes awry in the name of autoimmune disease or Hashimoto's. You combine onto that a genetic, something genetically linked for that, then it's just this perfect storm. So to me, whatever the fill in the blank diagnosis is, from MS to whatever, you've been given this label. That's fine. You can choose to go the conventional route, and that's your choice. I don't judge choices. If you want to go that route, awesome. I'm always here for you if you want to have an opinion or another one or an additional one or whatever. Or you choose a path in which you can potentially reroute the body and the trajectory of your health in a way that is not going down the path of where these diseases go to. And so that's through the root cause. And to develop and decide what the root cause is, my opinion is you have to do a lot of data. I mean, data drives everything. Instead of just empirically guessing, I'm probably a very good guesser because I've seen so much pathology and so much pattern. I mean, really what I feel like I do and what a lot of functional people do is we're just pattern recognition specialists.
But you're a good listener. You said it already, I think it's the most healing thing for a patient to sit down and be heard by a physician. You start that healing process from that first contact.
You could not be more true. And that's our providers at our office. And I mean, it's imperative that first encounter, you make a connection that is almost a life bond.
Yeah.
And you do that by listening. And you basically, you let them tell, as much history as they want. This is the cadence in which we do things is you start with me, you start with my functional health coach, and we're getting a history. We want to know your past. Yeah. But the moment you leave my practice and you come back for that data reveal party, which is that second visit, the past is last. And our whole focus is on the future. But we have to collect the past so we care. And that it's important to us because that is massively important because that really closes the gap between a therapeutic bond and an adversarial bond between patient and physician. They know you care. And I mean it when I said it a minute ago. The one deficiency I feel like is so pervasive in this human race, the deficiency is not any organic or biologic. It is hope. Yeah. I mean, the hopelessness that exists in this country when someone is given a myriad of these autoimmune diagnoses, I hear it all the time. And it's heartbreaking that they don't understand there's a better life out there if you have access to someone that can help you potentially acquire that life. So
I really, speaking of hope, I really hope that, even for the people that are in that allopathic Western system and maybe referred out to a rheumatologist, I look forward to the day when they are not told that there is no hope. I was told there was no hope by my physician, that, they would try to keep me comfortable, right? And slow there was no, let's turn this around. You're young, let's kick it now. No. And so I think that's why I have these conversations but I really, the ultimate goal, because I'm a dreamer, is that those conversations are taking place, with primary care docs, with specialties, that someone does. It's not the functional medicine perspective. It's just truth. Like the body is designed to heal.
No question. I would tell you one of the most rewarding experiences in my life is having rheumatologists as patients.
Yeah. Mine, unfortunately, passed away about 7 years ago. Sadly,
And again, I'm not making this about me in a braggadocious way. I'm making this about me in a very realistic sense. So your audience understands what I see every single day. And I'm very fortunate to tell you that there's a significant amount of my patients. And I mean, we're talking tens of thousands of people we treat that are prescribers, physicians, different. And the reason is I do a lot of teaching. And I think what ends up happening is when a colleague sees another colleague who's fairly well educated, but doesn't come across as like holier than thou, or I know more, or whatever. Sure. I'm one of you, and I just found my way to this. And if you ever want to learn more, great, I'm here for you. If not, not a problem. A lot of them just established, but that's the greatest thing when I get one of these docs who is, I understand they're not going to go back to their clinic and necessarily do this, but if they want this for their own health, that tells you something. You know what I mean? Yeah. And those are just like awesome moments. I never disempower those people. I empower them to try and find a way in which they can help their patients and augment what they're already doing with some of the things they've learned through their own health, right? That's kind of the way.
Absolutely. Well, and this will lead us to myth number 2. Well done. And they're not in any order other than in my head. This idea, and even back when I was diagnosed in my early 30s, it was, oh, you're so young and this is rare. Right? Growing up, I didn't know people with autoimmune conditions. So there goes your genetic theory right there. But so at some point, most physicians are going to have, either themselves, a loved one, somebody they really care about, struggling with one of these chronic illnesses. And so the more exposure to the truth that the body, can actually do its thing. And these are the things we look at. Like you said, it doesn't mean they're going to convert their practice to a functional medicine practice, right? But I said, we had a new patient come in recently whose primary care said, you have autoimmune, you need to go find a functional medicine doc. And I said, I want the name of that primary care.
Yeah.
Because that's a good doctor.
100%.
Yeah.
The world has changed. And yes, I actually I'm pretty young, relatively speaking, but 10 years ago, what I'm telling you now would not be true. But today, just yesterday, I had 2 patients referred into the practice by a provider within 20 miles who 10 years ago would never have done that. But what's happening is they're hearing about it. They're seeing other people come back and they're like, that guy and what they do over there is incredible. And now, and that kind of thing is new, and it's not going to go away. That's an impenetrable force field that won't go away. I mean, that's going to continue to be a pattern. You mentioned something about rarity of these conditions.
Yeah. So are they rare?
I mean, rare is relative. I would say in my world, no. In most functional medicine world, no. But if you check it, you're going to find it. And one of the biggest problems in healthcare is we don't, in my opinion, we don't screen people appropriately, no matter what. If they're an NFL professional athlete or they're sick and they have 6 months to live, we aren't screening people and catching things early. You and I both understand this. Your husband does for sure. Early detection is the name of the game in this country. Yeah. We will lose the battle if we wait until something is found at the very end. And then they think we're going to hop in and be able to like put that genie back in the bottle. Wrong. The body has a way of doing a tipping point where you spill over, and it is going to be very difficult to fix that completely. You have to early detect. So the standard of care is not to screen every human for autoimmunity. Right. The standard of my care is because I want to find these things early. And so when you say rare, the stats are simple. 5 to 10%, they say, of the world is autoimmune, or the US. So whatever that puts that at, if that's 1 in 10 people are autoimmune, 80% of that population are female. So it's like an 80-20 kind of percent women to men. In my life, in my clinic, I mean, at least a third, if not a half of people that present have some autoimmune condition. Now, the devil's in the details of what I just said. Does that mean they have positive blood markers to associate them having an autoimmune disease? Not necessarily.
Right.
Some of these people just have scalp psoriasis. Some people just have eczema. Some people just have like super bad allergies with high eosinophils and these other things where I'm like, you're so allergic and you're so like, I make a living off seeing people that are allergic to life. Okay.
Right.
These people are sensitive to everything, but yet they don't have on the paper or something I look at definitive diagnosis. And I'm like, yeah, but it's coming. Like it will come if we don't stop.
Also, data is really important. Labs, deep dive labs are important, but I'm assuming you're treating people and not results on a paper.
That's why I think my tagline on my website is "We treat people, not disease." And what I say in the office is, I'm going to go through a lot on paper here, but I treat people, not paper. You just have to know what's on the paper. And I'm like, good, you know what? This paper is only as good as the next one we do. Because now I got you at a snapshot in time.
Right.
And if I can do what I know, and the other thing that I say, and I don't mean to get tangential here, but I think this is critical. If you're a prescriber listening to this, if you are constantly bringing your A game to these patients, constantly, you know what you're doing, you're creating these pathways and all of these things that you know are going to work, but they continually bring a C game to you or a D game and they're not ready and they don't have the behavioral change that I know functional medicine health coaches can talk you through and they can't do the habitual changes and all. If you don't have that, you're going to divorce. And so the first thing I tell patients in the room is this is just a relationship 101. If you bring to me your commitment, your A game, your trust, your faith, some of this faith's going to be blind because you don't even know me yet. But if you do these things and I bring my A game, it's an infallible model. You cannot leave here feeling worse. You cannot. But if you bring a C commitment to an A, facilitator, it's not me. Like it's not going to work. So I'm just telling you, if you're not ready, totally fine. We're here when you are, but let's not waste each other's time. And maybe that's a little too direct, but to me, life's too short and a lot of suffering patients out there. You need to be honest with them. Because if they're ready to feel better, which sounds crazy, people on your audience are like, why wouldn't someone be ready to feel better? If you start telling them to change this and change this, they're like, I'm not ready for this, you know?
Absolutely. And I do think some of it is conditioning. It used to be, and obviously I still value the wisdom of a good physician. But it used to be like the doctor's the expert on you. And even just if you look at the Western, diagnosis prescription, right? There was no active participation expected from those of us who wanted to get better.
Right.
And so I love that you brought that up because it is, we have it in our new patient paperwork that they have to sign. Like if you're not here to participate in your health, we're not the place to turn.
It's funny how your new patient paperwork evolves as the maturation of your business and your practice does, because if you could look back and if I could look back at my first new patient forms, I would laugh so hard because, and then you see, it's like a book you could write. And then what it is now is like, it's going through like every scenario of what could happen. And it's just like, oh my God. So you're so funny. Yeah, we have something similar.
But it is, if someone's looking for like, I believe that not only does this model of medicine, which to me is just good medicine, work, not only does it work, but it requires participation. There's no magic wand. Yeah. And so, I love that you highlight that. And you're right. Most people that are listening to this are already on that, what can I do? I want to take the steps.
Sure.
What you when we're talking about how, so I think we've debunked autoimmunity is no longer rare.
No.
But you brought up the ratio, which actually is almost getting worse, I think. Why do you think women are so much more affected than men?
Yeah. Thank you for the question. This is a Dr. Rice theory. This is not not placebo controlled, nor is this database driven literature matrix that I'm about to tell you. This is based on lots of clinical observation, which I do believe is actually very important in healthcare. It's not just about randomizable placebo controlled.
You can't do those studies on everything.
Here's the truth about women. And
We're amazing.
well, I was about to go there. Women are incredibly resilient and amazing creations. And what I mean by that is they were designed to take on so much in their lives. I'm sure you know this, but I'll just say it as a man. The childbirth process and having children, not just the actual physical part,
Right.
but a woman, after she has one baby, her autoimmune risk goes through the roof. And Dr. Rice's opinion is these children, you are literally giving your life to that baby that's growing inside of it. And if you have more of them, you're giving more of your life. And that's one sentinel event that I feel like starts to lead them down a path where they could potentially trigger something that happens on the autoimmune side. Because women, unfortunately, with hormonal decline, with childbearing years, and being completely exposed to a very polluted environment that's full of not just polluted air and water and soil, but people. So when you're polluting yourself with all of this, how do you thrive? How are you optimized? How can you do any resilient behaviors as a woman who's juggling all the things that she juggles? Men are very linear, very simple.
Yeah.
Like there's not a complex thing here. So why I think women get this so much is though they're built on resiliency because of childbearing, I don't know that they're built enough. They haven't evolved yet enough to deal with the resilient behaviors they need to have within their body to fight off all of these challenges that affect their immune system. The amount of Hashimoto's, none of it prior to pregnancy, all of it. I mean, that's just like I see this over and over and over. So one of the reasons is women, that's one. The other one is women, God bless them, tell you everything. Men tell you, I mean, they're like,
you're not as simple as you think, but I get it.
So I test all these women because they want to know why they are this way, and it takes a man 10 years to figure out they are this way. Like women already know they are, and they're like, no, something's wrong, something's not right, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, well, let's test. So maybe it's just a set of both the realities they face as a female, but then the fact that they are so self-aware that they may find someone like me or you, and you're like, okay, let's test. And sure enough, you find it. If you look for it, you're going to find it. So, that's my theory on this, but that's why I'm seeing it, I feel like, so much. But there are these men out there that come in. I just had last week, it was insane. I've seen his wife for years, horrible Hashimoto's, as well as another concomitant autoimmune disease. They had the worst fertility challenges you can name.
Sure.
She finally was able to have a baby, and it was done through, healing her from the inside out, restoring her gut health, and all the things, right? And all of that took a while, but her antibodies came down, her thyroid function was good, and she was able to conceive. She was like, can you just go and just get your labs checked? Just go. Like he had no problems. He comes in, he's like, I'm just here because she told me to.
Right.
So he comes in, we get the data. I was like, oh my God. He had 4 autoimmune diseases and they were at very high burdens. Like they were high levels of these things. And I finally, when he came in, I went down and I had his wife come too. And I was like, listen, man, your life's about to change. I mean, but you didn't even know.
Right.
You told me you think you feel good. I don't think you even know what good is.
Yeah.
We're about to figure it out.
How do you know? You know what I mean? Like, how can you tell what somebody else's good is?
Exactly.
And most people, and I'm not even talking about people with autoimmune challenges, most people don't know what optimized feels like.
And they surround themselves with the tribe that they've chosen to surround themselves with. And guess what? The tribe feels the same way you do. Right. So guess what? You all feel what? Normal.
Yeah.
I mean, it just becomes this cyclical process to when 10 years later, someone finally says, go see this person.
Yeah.
You get data done. So I don't know if that answered or helped you, but that is definitely a reality. I see.
Well, I would, and I think those of us that are in this world, we form opinions, But you did, I do want to follow the thread of one of the, and I love, because yes, you're a physician and you're very intelligent and compassionate, but you're also a man. So I love that you included the, toxic people and the stressors of, I'll add to, I think all of that we could manage if we were ever taught from a young age as females that it's not selfish to prioritize our health, right? That the oxygen mask definitely does need to go on mom first.
Yes.
But we don't learn that until we crash. Yep. Typically, at least, that's most of the people I work with, and that was my experience as well. But I also think our hormones have to have something to do with it. As somebody who also works with, dementia reversal and prevention, again, take Alzheimer's and women to men. Yep. So I really think that hormone dysregulation, I'll say, and I'll then let the expert say what he thinks that means, really plays a big part. And I believe that that's why childbirth, we get these big fluctuations. Our immune system is so brilliant. I mean, we get to tamp things down to grow another person, right? And our body knows, like, don't attack baby. Mm-hmm. But all of those beautiful changes can be that tipping point for some of us.
No question. And that was very eloquently said. Women face hormonal challenges, not just when they're 45,
right?
55, right? These things hormones decline naturally in their early 20s and then precipitously late 30s, early 40s, naturally. If you combine that with stress, you combine that with sleep deprivation, you combine that with childbearing, you combine that with poor diet, you combine that with alcohol, then you're going to have a compounded problem with hormones. And so in the world that I function in, hormone assessing and then potentially optimization with therapy or not is a critical piece to avoiding age-related disease. And I don't mean to be redundant, but repetition's the mother of learning, I guess. If you check it early, you can start to fix things early. Waiting until a woman is 65 years or older to initiate or even consider initiating hormones, it makes no intellectual or educational sense or even just, common sense, because these things are declining quickly. And if you ask a woman, do you have more brain fog? Do you have less energy? I'm just saying it, I'm not judging, I'm just saying, are you more doughy? Are you more fluffy? Are you losing your firmness? Are you not sleeping well? Have your desire?
I tell my husband not to say doughy, by the way.
Are you losing interest in like everything that, in your life, right? Yeah. Your desires are down. These are things that are like very natural that you don't have to wait for. And so to tie in the immune system side, estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone are immune modulating compounds. They will do something to affect the immune system, whether that's at the inflammatory cascade side with like inflammation and i.e. joint pain or lubrication or whatever. All of that inflammatory milieu that happens in the hormone naive patient, meaning they've lost their hormones or they don't have any, or let's say they don't have their uterus and they have no hormones at all and their ovaries were taken out as well. These are big problems because that's where cognitive decline accelerates. That's where sarcopenia or losing muscle accelerates. That's where bone loss accelerates. All the things that you don't want. And to say that all of that isn't in some way tied to an immune system that decides to start attacking you would be disingenuous because it's an environment in which the body will turn against itself. You've literally just put it on the tee and you're about to hit the ball and it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So hormones are critically important to assess at any age, just to see certain aspects of it. Doesn't mean you have to be on hormones, but you need to start checking a timeline of what's happening and then doing a wonderful history of what's happening and be able to ask the right questions, some of which are a little sensitive, some of which are a little private, but that's okay. You need to know these things because honestly, who else are you going to talk to these things? If you can't talk to your doctor, who else can you talk to?
Yeah.
So,
and I love that you highlight that at any age, because again, as a woman, and I have a daughter, and I know I kind of the thinking when I was younger and, in teens, 20s, it was like I had friends that had horrible, horrible cycles. Now I know what was going on with them, but we were just taught that's part of being a woman. And so a lot of these imbalances can be lifelong. Somebody will say, "Oh, my cycles are fine." And then you ask specific questions, right? Well, do you have bad PMS, breast tenderness, heavy cycle, all the things, the cramps, the pain? They're like, yeah, that's normal. I've had it my whole life.
100%.
And those are the women that are going to end up in your office, so it's never too young, I think.
It's never too young. And hormone, assessing and balancing doesn't necessarily mean going on to hormone replacement therapy.
Oh.
There's a large subset of people that probably need that. However, the young population who's having, like you said, bad PMS, PCOS symptoms, endometriosis, they're having irregular cycles. A lot of this is from the way that their body's making their estrogen and the way it's metabolized down these pathways. If you can just control for these metabolites, whether you do it through diet or whatever you decide you want to do, you can control some of this so you can regulate her cycle so she doesn't feel so bloaty and crampy and puffy and all these things. There's things you can do during the menstruation or right up until the menstruation and then back off on them. So, to your point, hormone imbalance, I mean, hell, I just had an 18-year-old that has like crazy cycle stuff. And the only option in the conventional world is birth control. I'm like, look, I'm like I told the parents, I was like, I don't control birth per se, but I can help the symptom. I mean, I can help
the young lady.
I can help her feel so bad, but you guys are gonna have to like talk about like that side
contraception, of it. Right? That's not what we're here for.
That's not right. But so yeah, that's a really good point. So all ages, you can have hormone metabolism problems that may not effectually mean you're on hormone replacement.
Right. Yeah. And I am not a physician, but my personal opinion, so I did have a hysterectomy with oophorectomy. There is not a seed, a tea, a supplement in the world that is going to protect me through the rest of my life, which I'm hoping will be long.
Yep.
So I do think there is a time and a place where the only thing, when your body's not making hormones, it needs you to get some bioidentical support.
Thank you so much for that, because your audience may be similar to what I'm about to say. The amount of people I see that come in here, and I even have some colleagues that are very well thought of colleagues that almost feel what I'm about to say is true. To think that you can herbalize, supplement, or feed a woman to reverse her osteoporosis, penia, back to normal bone, avoid the decline of cognitive decline, the mild and cognitive impairment to dementia, and protect her heart with herbs and with eating correctly and watching out for phytoestrogens, all of that's important. But oh my God, good gravy. Giving her hormones, in my opinion, that are molecularly, isomolecular to her body, but giving her something that's recognizable makes academic and common sense. And also it improves her quality of life demonstrably over what she can do by doing the herbs and the teas and things like that. And I'm not against that. You can do that in combination with, but it doesn't replace pure actual hormones. So thank you for saying that.
I am, and it is literally life-changing. James and I joke all the time because he gets to, again, he went to medical school, so he should be the one. He gets to prescribe hormones for people that are struggling. And, within a week, they feel amazing. And as the health coach, the change, my work with them is slower, more difficult, takes more time. Together, it's magic. But I tell people all the time, like, if somebody stops me in an alley, they can have my wallet. They cannot have my hormones. I will fight.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That needs that. Like it.
It's amazing. Well, I know we're supposed to be busting autoimmune myths, but I want to bust this is another myth, because I hear this all the time, which is fascinating too. Is your perspective that if a woman hasn't been on hormones and she's way postmenopausal, is it ever too late to put a woman on hormones?
So, the formal societies on this would tell you to use caution, and sometimes they would say to actually not do it. I would say the truth is more of the use caution. What I would say, it'd be rare for me not to consider putting a woman on hormones because of my knowledge of them. There is above a certain age, 65-ish, 62-ish, 63-ish, above that age, there is some scant literature that you are moving more, you have little tiny bit more risk, because the thought is if she has accumulated all this microscopic plaque and inflammation and protein malformations in the brain, all these things that have happened, that by giving her HRT, you might actually accelerate the process of that degeneration. And I
want to know what kind of hormones they use in the study.
And that's exactly right. Is the devil is in the details.
Yeah.
What hormone? How is it delivered? What dose? A medicine is a poison unless you dose it right. Correct. And so the unfortunate reality is, I keep using this term isomolecular, and your audience may understand the term bioidentical. I'm not the biggest fan of that term because it's become more of a hype marketing kind of situation.
Right. Because take the yam cream.
This thing, right? Right. And it comes with is that real medicine? And all these things. Isomolecular is a very simple term. It is molecularly identical to what you've made as a woman since you started producing hormones, and what I've made as a man since I started.
I'm not a horse. I love my horse, but I'm not one.
And there's hormones out there that we get from other things, animal parts, animal urine, and blah, blah, blah. So if we can just level set and talk about just those types of hormones, those are the ones we're referring to. The reality, though, is what the conventional world will tell you is that's all great, Dr. Rice, but there's not level 1A evidence on isomolecular hormone replacement in a woman who's 63, 65 plus, giving her health benefit. And it's back to my whole mantra before. I get it. But if we wait for there to be the highest level of data, we're going to die.
Yeah.
If we wait 7 years.
I was going to say, but what do you see clinically? Because I know what we see.
And no one's going to fund that study, by the way.
Yeah.
So if your listener's waiting for that study, they're never going to get it, because it won't be funded and it won't happen. So what we have to do is take whatever we do have, then we take a mountainous, cataclysmically high amount of clinical observation with patient input, period. Yeah. What is the patient like? What does the patient feel? The first thing we have to do in healthcare is no harm. I think second thing, immediately right behind no harm, improve these people's quality of life. Yes. That is not what was taught to us.
Yeah.
Ever. But I think it is just as don't harm these people and improve their quality of life. If you take that into consideration with your clinical observation and the scant data that exists, you're going to come up with an answer, I believe, that's going to point you in a direction that the risk benefit is skewed in the way of benefits to these patients. And I think just waiting for FDA clearance or FDA this, it's just, that's a whole nother discussion too. But you're just waiting for something that it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So you have to take what you have and make the best clinical decision you can by putting your patient first, no one else, and just listen to them. That's it. And follow their blood work, follow their scans, follow their bone density, and just make sure that their cognition's not going down, their bone density is good, they're not having any, degenerative problems that you know of, and then just go. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a thank you for that. Well put. Sure. I had a client once and I was like, what is going on? When I was first working with her and doing her, gathering her history, and she had been on hormone replacement therapy until she retired. And when she retired, they told her to stop. She didn't need it anymore. I'm like, wait.
Yeah, I see and maybe the type of hormone she was on. The conversation, the data beyond, using that beyond a certain age, maybe wasn't favorable. And in healthcare, we do what we do. We extrapolate. We extrapolate conclusions from one population to another, and everyone does it, whether you're on the functional side, whether you're on the conventional side. extrapolation is part of our reality because the reality is there's just not enough data. I mean, we need more data. But again, to my point, I'm not going to wait until I'm dead to be able to know that there's a trial that proved that I knew
that it could have. Yeah.
I mean, that's just completely disingenuous.
Yeah. Oh, I appreciate that. I feel like there is no, just like, I don't think any one of us has one root cause.
No.
There is no, one health focus, right? And so I don't think that all of autoimmunity is hormones.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
Either, but I do feel this is like it's just total non-medical. I think that hormones decline. Yes, it's a natural cycle. But I think that what that signals to the body is you're done. We're going to just start to break down now. And so why wouldn't we? We're living longer. Don't you want to live well? They're
right.
just.
Right. Well, and hormones decline. Again, you have not only are hormones declining, but you have this continual accumulation of disruptors in the body that you're exposed to, whether you do it or you are just living in an ecosystem that's giving it to you.
Right.
And your body is not machine-like to process, metabolize, and get rid and excrete these things.
Yeah.
And it leads to this entire inflammatory cascade that could be like, oh my God, is that my hormones? I mean, no. I mean, your hormones are kind of happening too, but it's these other things.
Right.
And then it goes down and hits your immune system, which 70 to 80% of it is within the lining of our intestinal wall. And before you know it, you're getting like Swiss cheese intestinal wall that can't actually absorb or anything, and you're getting translocation of things. And before you know it, you have this whole, picture of you can have an imbalance of estrogen and testosterone and progesterone. You have an imbalance of bacteria that feeds the immune system and bacteria that's hurting the immune system. And it's that the term isn't hormone imbalance, it's dysbiosis. But
right.
The more of that you have, it's just this whole recipe for developing autoimmune disease. And, God, we could talk an hour about that.
Just the gut.
A big piece of it. Right.
Yeah. And I feel really strongly. I mean, I remember it's again, like you were talking about, if you think of your intake forms from the beginning, if I think of my coaching process from the beginning, and I remember when all of this, the gut, and I would kind of I didn't really understand.
Yeah.
I would roll my eyes like, oh, here we go again. Yeah. But I operate under the assumption if somebody's coming, first of all, to me versus just the clinic, because they could be coming for something else. But if someone's coming to work with me, they have autoimmunity or they have what they think is autoimmunity and hasn't been diagnosed, even better, then we don't have to get rid of a label. That's great. Yeah. I operate under the assumption that they for sure have leaky gut unless they have already done a lot of work. And we test and we do things too. But I think it's that rampant. I really do believe, especially by the time you've tipped into autoimmunity, we know that's part of the driving process.
Yeah, there's no question. You just talked about the maturation of your forms. It's the same with the maturation of our acceptance of gut health as being
right. I was resistant in the beginning. Come on.
In the beginning, I'm like, oh, you can go out to someone else for that.
Go see a gut specialist.
Exactly. It evolved into an option. Okay, we have gut testing. If you want to do it, I mean, sure, kind of thing. It was kind of like just like there. Yeah. As you walked by the window, it's like, well, I guess maybe I'll check my gut. I guess should I do that? I mean, if you want. And now it's funny, in 6 years, and I think 19, early 20, I basically mandated at our offices in the Dallas area, I mandated that there's not a human that can establish care with us if they won't do a microbiome assessment.
Yeah.
And I learned this in COVID. I said, everybody came to me to help their immune system. They were getting sick or they were losing grandpa or they were all nervous. And I said, how can I possibly address this if I don't even know what you're doing? Right. I can tell you about food and what to eat and blah, blah, blah. But one of my mentors in this space, I'll give him the credit where credit's due. He said one time, he said, you need to understand it's not the food's fault. When the gut is off and it's not sealed and it is just not producing or productive and it's not getting what it needs, it doesn't matter what you eat. These people are going to be sick. Yeah. It doesn't matter if they eat healthy are they crappy? They're going to be bad. Now, when you fix the gut, heal the gut, seal the gut, and you sort of like, kill what needs to be killed and whatever's overgrowth or undergrowth, you sort of correct those imbalances, you help feed the diversity and you do all of that, then it becomes the food's fault. If their gut is working well and you start eating inflammatory foods, they'll have reactions. So that was really, really helpful to me because I realized, it's not, I guess it's not really, if I don't go after the gut first, all bets are off. You know what I mean?
Service. Yeah.
So that's the evolution of us. Now there's not a human, we got to be the number one in Texas. I mean, I can't imagine there's anybody else. We do 7 or 8 a day. I mean, there's a lot. And I do a 3-day stool collection to.
Okay. I know which one you're using then.
Increase accuracy. Yeah. I like the company. I like the customer service. I like the market. So reproducible. It's so reproducible patient response,
Yeah.
So.
Which again, it takes a certain kind of patient. There used to be such a resistance to, I have to do what? I have to collect my poop.
I know.
And now, I guess that's the positive of the progression of the information getting out there. People know that they need to.
Yeah. And luckily, they usually see us for that second visit till like 3 to 4 weeks after the specimen's been submitted. So I always come in and I'm like, so have you slept since? So how's your therapy been going? And they always, and it's always a good icebreaker, but it's just between them and their bathroom. That's all I tell them. Just between you. Nobody sees it.
Yeah.
So, but it's an important test.
It is lots and lots of information. And I love that you highlighted because, for so many self-fixers, people wonder why the needle's not moving, and I'm eating all the good things, and I've worked with so many people who have sensitivities to the healthiest foods you can name, because they're just pouring those healthy foods into a really leaky gut and creating it. I mean, it's just you gotta heal it. I know it seems a little like really more gut, but
yeah, but it really is. It really is.
It is.
These people they're listening right now, I know you are, that you feel like you can't eat anything.
Yeah.
Nothing ever works. You'd eat it, you get hives. You just, throat drain it, like nothing. If you don't have that gut checked, then you're going to just keep going on and on and on and on and on and on and do the same thing. And like Einstein said, do the same thing over and over. You're going to get the same results. I mean, it's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so true. So are there any autoimmune myths that you want to bust that we haven't touched on yet that are like, urgent?
Yeah. So I think, it's not rare is critical. I think the other big one here is, and I'm going to come back to this a little, but so many of these autoimmune patients need more hope than just an infusion or a medicine that may or may not bring side effects. Those are, just so we know, the conventional approach to the autoimmune treatment is to suppress the immune system so that you don't react so inflammatory to whatever the disease is. So rheumatoid arthritis and lupus and Sjogren's and blah, blah, blah. You're on these compounds to make your immune system suppressed so that it equally suppresses the inflammation. So maybe you don't have as much dry mouth or dry eyes or joint pains or rashes or, whatever that is,
right,
or fatigue, whatever it is. But when you do that, you also expose yourself to not just side effects, but you expose yourselves to opportunistic infections from whatever, virus, fungus, and yeast, and bacteria, and you name it. So doing that is one approach. The other approach is to actually ramp up the immune system, heal it from the inside out, cool the inflammation down through different means that you can do, and create a sustainable way of gut health and immune system support so that you don't have to manifest these symptoms anymore. And you're hopefully, whoever's listening to this needs to understand you can fix these problems. It doesn't, and sometimes you can use both, honestly. There's conventional ways and then other ways, and it doesn't have to be an either or in every proposition. But the hope and the myth that needs to be busted is that you cannot fix, you cannot cure, you cannot reverse, let's say an ANA, you can't reverse Hashimoto's, you can't reverse, let's say, someone who has multiple sclerosis, I've probably got 10 multiple sclerosis patients. It's gone. Like,
Yeah.
now, whether that was the right diagnosis is a different for a different time. But the neurologist who actually diagnosed them with that do whatever they did before and say whatever that was, whether it's an MRI or lesions or scores or validated questionnaire, it's changed. And that, to me, I would not have believed what I just said 10 years ago, that you can fix these conditions that that people are living with. And the point is that you, in some cases you can. I don't know if across the board you can fix every single one of them, but you can give a meaningful quality of life to people that oftentimes don't have one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, so much of the autoimmune experience is life gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And so every bit of healing allows people to expand life back out and, be just, whatever, even just to have the energy, the energetic resources to be the better mother, the better wife, the better coach, physician, business, whatever it is, it really does make an impact. And then back to that ripple effect, right? It's why you love working with providers, because that's how this whole mess that we call, not modern medicine. Sorry.
That's why I named my business.
I know. I love it.
I want to redefine it.
Yeah, because it's just medicine. It's just good medicine.
Yeah, it really is. And we've mentioned it, but the providers themselves, I do feel, are good people. It's just the system has been turned upside down in a way that doesn't put the patient first. There's no other way to say it other than that.
Yeah. And you're a DO. How much nutrition training did you get in medical school?
So none in medical school. I actually went to an MD residency, but we didn't get into personal, like what happened, but I had health struggles, no question about it. Years ago, I wasn't who I was now, and I was highly medicated for different things, and I was just following the conventional path. And I did some genetic testing on myself. I've never met actually my biological father. So once I did some genetic testing, realized I'm dealing with a lot from someone I hadn't met. I sort of restructured my entire life, diet, everything around sort of that, and sort of follow a fairly simplistic pattern. And I became medication free within 6 months and haven't looked back. I haven't been on one since. Woo! And so, and it's been great. And I feel like that day or that 6 months, I changed the trajectory of my Alzheimer's, MS, Crohn's colitis, dementia, cancer risk. I think everything changed when I learned. And if that's the singular gift I could give to patients, is change the trajectory of where you're going. You will never know if you would have had cancer. You will never know if you would have had Parkinson's. You will never know, but that's a risk that I'm willing for you to take, because you don't know. You know what I mean? And that's what I say. We don't have the luxury of knowing if you would have developed this. So you do have to put faith in this. But I strongly feel my personal trajectory was changed, that hopefully one of these days I don't get one of those things because of all of that I learned about myself.
And God forbid you do, you have the resilience, like you've given your body that opportunity.
100%.
Which I wanted, you said it earlier, but I want to re-highlight, genetics can predispose us, but that shouldn't be taken as a sentence or doom and gloom. It's an opportunity of it's like an arrow, let's make sure we mitigate this risk.
Yep. I'm the believer that 8% of our health trajectory is determined by mother and father. 92% is literally determined by you and what you do, how you breathe, how you drink, how you poop, how you sleep, how you exercise, how you eat, how you use hot therapy, how you use cold therapy. How do you detox? Do you detox? These are things.
How do you connect and relate?
100%. If you do those things, that 8% is going to be squashed into the ground, and it won't even matter, because like I tell patients, I was like, I don't know. I probably have cancer in my body right now, but luckily I think I have a machine that just turns it over, and I never know. And I want to create the same for you. This isn't dissimilar. So, that's really, and that's a big part. If you're a doctor that does this or a provider that does this, you got to walk the walk you talk, right?
Right.
If you don't, I mean, come on, that's crazy. So
yeah, absolutely. So much good stuff. Amazing. This is
be longer than what you said.
I know. I knew it was going to be good. Now comes the hardest part of the interview, not for me, but for you. What is one step that listeners can take starting today to improve their health?
One step today. Oh my gosh, there's so much you could do. So here is probably the best piece of advice I can find. I could tell them, if they don't have a health advocate that they have found, they need to find someone. Because if they're not a doctor or a prescriber, or they don't have a prescriber or doctor who even remotely sounds like this or talks like this or has some way of testing like this, they must find them. Because I think there's a lot of problems, but one of the biggest ones is access to what I'm talking about. People how do you broadcast this? How do you commercialize this? How do you market this? It's all word of mouth in my world.
Right.
And I will be the first to tell you, it is absolutely not about Dr. Rice. This is about all prescribers understanding the calling we have and the opportunity we have. So my biggest piece of advice is to try to find someone. However, listen, there's different places you can go to try to find someone like me. But you've got to find someone who's your health advocate. There's a lot more there that I would want to say about, hydration and bowel movements and, like a sauna. I'm a sauna addict, and that's a whole nother world, but I don't know if I survive today without that. So, there's a lot of resilient behaviors I think that are super important. Exercise is the perfect prescription too for anything. So there's a lot I could talk about. That it's really hard for me to find one thing.
I said it's a toughie.
Get your gut tested. Get your gut tested. That's what.
Oh, there we go. That's another one.
Do a third-party stool analysis. I'm not talking about a Guaiac or a Cologuard.
Oh, no. You're right. Thank you.
A functional stool analysis. That would be my number one piece of advice. Have that done.
All right. He's a believer. See the evolution, right? From gut. But yeah, amazing. And for people that are listening on the go and they're not going to check out the links in the show notes, where is the best place to find out more about you or your clinic, Modern Medicine? Yeah.
So, our website, mymodernmedicine.com, is there. There's links there to things I've done. I know there's assets out there, different webinars I've done, and I don't even look at these things, but I do a lot of material just because I absolutely love to talk, and I love to disseminate information that I think is very usable. And so I don't know, I pull the wool over people's eyes, but apparently they want me to do that too. So I have other things out there, like just these organizations I'm a part of. The hormone company I teach for and honestly advise at a very high level is called BioT, and it's just made up of almost 10,000 prescribers, and it's an extremely blessed honor to be able to teach my colleagues because they force me to learn at a very, very high level. So
you got to be on your game.
Exactly. So I'm through Modern Medicine and really through them as well. So that's probably the best way to access me if somebody needed to actually access me.
Perfect. And there's lots of good stuff on the clinic website as well. And I'd encourage people to check it out and understand, there's a team there, right?
So it's not just about me.
Yeah.
You're only as good as the team. You're always good as your team.
But I can see why people want you to continue talking to us. So I so appreciate your wisdom, your perspective, your time, and most of all, the hope that you share with listeners. Because I totally agree with you that is, to me, that's the first step in healing. So Thank you.
You're very welcome. And I meant what I said. I want to hear your story sometime.
I will share it. I talk too. So
thank you so much, Julie.
Thank you. For everyone listening, remember you can get those show notes and transcripts by visiting inspiredliving.show. I hope you had a great time and enjoyed this episode as much as I did. I'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Julie Michelson's Inspired Living with Autoimmunity. Did you enjoy this episode? Please like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. If you'd like to get a transcript of this and every other episode, just head on over to inspiredliving.show or click on the link in this episode's description. There, you can also find everything we discussed in this episode, including links and information about our guest. You can even send in your questions to be answered by Julie in a future episode. That's inspiredliving.show. Until next time, this is Julie Michelson's Inspired Living with Autoimmunity podcast, helping you take your power back.